I'm going to tell you why the 2023 offense could be the greatest offense Chicago has ever seen from the Chicago Bears, and it starts right now. Now, if you are new to the channel, please like the video. Please subscribe to the page, man. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. It's the only channel talk Chicago sports, how Chicago talk. So make sure that you get in tune with us, man. So I have been going over this offense back and forth probably 5, 6, 7 times doing the daily show over on ESPN, right? The Chicago Bears podcast. Make sure to check that out Monday through Friday. And at the end of the day, I've really just been trying to figure out what I believe this offense is going to be. And when I've crunched all of these different numbers, right, I think that there's a couple of reasons that are starting to lead me to believe that this could be the greatest offense we've ever seen in Chicago. Case in point, the best offense in Chicago Bears history right now. I know everybody's running to 85. That was a great offense. I'm not going to lie. Walter Payton, right? What are you going to do? But realistically, right, stat wise, play on the field wise, it was the 2013 Chicago Bears. This is an offense that saw Alshon Jeffrey and Brandon Marshall both get over 1,200 yards. I believe Alshon Jeffrey ended up with 1,400 yards that season. Brandon Marshall ends up with 12 touchdowns. Alshon Jeffrey ends up with 7 touchdowns. You see Matt Forte chipping in with 1,000 plus all-purpose yards, right? I mean, like, you had a dynamic duo, and that was an offense that actually lost Jay Cutler for 5 games due to injury. So keep that in mind as well. That offense possibly could have been even better if he's able to stay on the field, but Joshy Football did come in. Josh McCown came in and did his thing on that. But here's the thing for me, right, like that I'm looking at, and like the video if you agree, like the video if you disagree, just like the video. Here's what I'm looking at with the Chicago Bears. This is the first time probably since that 2023 offense that was clicking on all cylinders, that was able to go out there and be the number 2 scoring offense in the NFL. This is the first time since then where I've seen everybody on the offense have defined roles. That's the number one thing for me, right? We know at a minimum, right, they're going to talk about competition. They're going to talk about what having guys on the field, bringing guys into camp. Everybody's fighting for this and that. But for the most part, we know, right? Listen, Darnell Mooney's going to be in the slot. I think we all know that. DJ Moore is going to be your number 1 option. Chase Claypool hopefully is going to take that step as your number 2. Maybe it's Equinemius St. Brown, but at a minimum, I know where these guys fit in the offense. And for 3 of those guys, they know where they fit in the offense because they were here last season to play in the offense, right? Now you're looking at the running back room. Okay, I've got Khalil Herbert. I've got Deontay Foreman, 2 guys who did an excellent job running the football, who did an excellent job being the speed back in both the Bears backfield and in Carolina's backfield after they end on moving on from Christian McCaffrey. Deontay Foreman after McCaffrey able to take an even bigger step and be able to kind of replace that production. So now he comes here, right? And you're adding that with that room there, speed room. It was a good room, right? It was a really good room to me. But then you're adding in a young man in Roschon Johnson, who I'm not going to lie, at this point, like, if he doesn't show out, I don't know what the hype is. Ryan Poles said today, or maybe it was yesterday, that he ran 53 mock drafts. And here's the weird part, right? Here's why Ryan Poles is so shocked about this, because Ryan Poles' mock drafts, which I think he's using AI. I don't know if he is, but I think he's using AI. But how he's running these draft simulations are creepy close in his own words. He ran 53 of them. None of them had Roschon Johnson falling to them. They thought that Roschon Johnson was a 2nd round or 3rd round pick at worst. Bears end up picking up Roschon in the 4th. Gets you excited to feel like, right, you had a 2nd round, 3rd round pick grade on this guy. Those are top running backs in the NFL. Now you're adding that into that room that already was a really good running back room. I think that the offensive line, right, Darnell Wright is being graded by some offensive linemen in the league as the best offensive lineman to come out of this draft, or who have been in the league, I should say, who are now coaching, as the best offensive lineman to come out of this draft, and that he's going to be a monster on the right side. You still have, I still have my questions with Tevin on the left, or with Braxton on the left side, right? But worst case scenario, you still have Tevin on that left side. Don't know how that relationship is going. Hopefully that's going well. Haven't heard a ton on that, but it seems like at a minimum you have a really good semblance of an offensive line. Now, is there a lot of pressure on rookies to perform with that? Absolutely. I'm not saying there's not, but I think that when you look at that, right, I'm now looking at all of those things that I just said paired with the production that Justin Fields had last season. And here's where it comes down to me. I mentioned this before. I'll restate it here again about a quarterback in the second year of this wideout system that is Luke Getsy, the system that Luke Getsy essentially is running. And we've seen the history of how that works. But here's some names, right, that were able to take jumps in that system. And I'm talking about 1,000-yard plus jumps. Jake Plummer, like I said, 03, 2,182 yards, 15 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. 2004, Jake Plummer, second year in that system, threw for 4,089 yards, 27 touchdowns, did throw 20 interceptions, but Jake Plummer, right? But the yards jumping up, the touchdowns jumping up, understanding where people are supposed to be. Matt Schaub did the same thing, went from 15 touchdowns to 29, only added 5 more picks, went from 10 to 15. Matt Ryan, he went from 21 touchdowns to 38, 16 interceptions, all the way down to 7 improvement. Jimmy Garoppolo doing the same thing. Kirk Cousins doing the same thing. When you look at the touchdowns and the interceptions, the touchdowns go up, the interceptions go down. The final guy that did it is Aaron Rodgers. That's just that, right? Like I don't even bring him up in this argument because his numbers are ridiculous, right? He literally still throws over 4,000 yards, goes from 26 touchdowns to 48, and throws one more interception. It went from 4 to 5, right? Like he's an anomaly. But here's what I'm saying. You're taking all of that with a bunch of guys that are in the second year of this offense right now, and you're adding that to Justin Fields, who for about 6 weeks last season in a row, you could look at and say, whether he's making the passes or not, he's one of the best players on the football field. He's one of the best players, one of the best guys to have back there on the football field. And here's the caveat to that. And I do want to know how you guys feel, man. Let me know in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you guys as well. Here's my main thing, my final thing, that even if you feel like Justin Fields is just going to be that guy last season, why the Chicago Bears offense will have that next step, and why I really feel like this could be the best offense Chicago has ever seen. You're taking all of that and you're turning Justin Fields back into a passing quarterback that he was at Ohio State. You're allowing him to stand back in the pocket and make decisions. Now he has to make the decisions quicker, has to make sure his footwork is tight, has to make a lot of things on Justin Fields, and has to trust the system that he's in. But you're also adding in Luke Getsy as a second-year play caller, now having an understanding of his quarterback, which last season, right, everybody was looking at it, and I'll agree with you, right, the first 6 weeks, he had no clue what the heck he had in Justin Fields. But once we hit that bye week, once we hit that Patriot game, he started to see the quarterback that he had in Justin Fields and started to play to that guy's strength. By the way, that guy's continuing to get better. Even if Justin Fields becomes a mediocre passer this season, if he takes the steps similar to the people who have been in the offense that I've talked about, that have been in the Jake Plumbers, the Matt Ryans, the Matt Schaubs, all of those guys, right? Even if he takes that step, you're still talking about going from basically 150 passing yards to, let's say, 180, right? That gets you up to just over 3,000 passing yards. Nothing crazy, but the touchdowns basically doubling. Now you're talking about a quarterback that's throwing 30 touchdowns because he's putting himself in a position to win those games. Now you're talking about a quarterback who hopefully is running less, right? But let's say he still runs for 600 yards, 5 touchdowns. Because that's how that basically would all extrapolate out. You're talking about a guy that that scored a total of 35 touchdowns, 36, 100 yards, If the interceptions do go up or down, right, I can live with that if we're talking about 35 total touchdowns. And here's the thing at the end of the day for all of this that really puts the icing on the cake for me, even if he adds nothing in the passing game and he's just an okay passer, he's still one of the most dynamic runners on the field, and he can pass when he needs to. And I don't know if y'all know this or not, but there's quarterbacks who have won MVPs in this league doing that. And yes, were the question marks on them? Were the question marks where you look at them and say, hey, this guy's a running quarterback. He's not going to win a Super Bowl in this league. He's not going to take this team far. Sure, there were questions on those guys. There were questions on Cam Newton. There were questions on Lamar Jackson. There's still questions on Lamar Jackson, right? But the biggest thing to all of those questions was always what? What was around him? What were the players around him? What did they look like? With Lamar Jackson, where's the number one wide receiver? Where's the number two wide receiver? Where's the offensive line? Where's the running game? Because in this league, if you can do it yourself, they will invest elsewhere. Why do I know that? Because the Ravens were more willing to pay Roquan Smith than they were to pay Lamar Jackson in the beginning. I'll take it back all the way to Cam Newton, right? Cam Newton finding his way through, having to basically beat his body to death just for him to take that team to a Super Bowl. By the way, took that team to a Super Bowl. But when you look at that team, you're not talking about number one wide receiver. You're talking about Greg Olsen. You're not talking about dominant wide receiver play. You're not talking about okay O-line play, right? He had above average O-line play. I'm not going to say it's the worst in the world, but I look at guys like that and I say, even if Justin is that is a better offense than we have ever seen in Chicago. Oh, by the way, we got weapons. Poles went out and did his job. So to me, I look at all the things that are encompassing this Bears team. And this may be hot take. Most are going to be in the comments talking about delusional Bears fans back at it again. No, this is numbers to back this up. This is history in the league to back this up. This is history in this system to back this up. Brace yourselves, Chicago Bears fans. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what this defense is going to be. I think this defense will be more improved. I do think this defense will give Justin Fields more opportunities in short yardage games, because I think that there will be more turnovers this season, more pressure on quarterbacks. But brace yourselves, Bears fans, because if this defense gives you anything, mediocre play, you're going to be talking about an offense that's going to be out there with an ability to put up a ton of points. And I think the wins on this team are going to be based on how much the defense is going to be able to slow other teams down. But I'll tell you this right now, there's not many times Justin Fields was on the field with other players last season where he didn't look like, in the second half of that season, where he didn't look like the best player on the field. He was in the Dallas game. We were losing poorly, and Justin Fields still looked like what? Well, Micah Parsons was out there. No, you know what? Micah really didn't do a ton that game. Justin Fields still looked like the best player on the field. He did end up with that strip sack, though. I don't know. That one. He was top two, right? He was top two at the end of the day. Hey, listen, I want to know how you guys feel, man. I know that this is Pat, he's going hot takey on us. No, this isn't a hot take. I've really sat here and crunched these numbers and sat here and looked at, because here's the thing. The Bears last season offensively were already a good run team. They already had the run scheme down. So if you had the run scheme down last season, now you're adding in the passing scheme just a little bit. You're improving the offensive line to a run game that already was pretty good. Oh, but David Montgomery's not here. We got better. I don't know if we got better yet. I think we have a better running back than David Montgomery is. By the way, he's 6'2". And he's a good pass catcher out of the backfield. He's one of his guys that he watches is Matt Forte. I think that you might have something like that. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below, man. I'll be down there talking with you as well. As always, it's your boy, Pat the Designer, back at it again to continue watching our Chicago Bears content. Click the links on the screen or check the links in the description below. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bird down. I don't know why I got so hype on this one. Peace.